Live from the 607 is the ODPH Entertainment Edition, where we're talking movies, comics, TV, and more. Why don't you join in the conversation? Hashtag ODPH, because here we go. And welcome to another edition of the ODPH Entertainment Edition. I'm your host, Ken M. Sitting across from me this week is the one, the only, Padawan J.
Con season.
And of course, crashing the panel if we're talking Comic-Con, you know he's coming back for another episode. It's the Bry Guy Signal.
Hey, guys.
Folks, we have a lot to discuss. Let's waste no more time. Hashtag it up, ODPHEE, if you want to join the conversation, because we want to hear from you on social media. The biggest news story of the week has to be New York Comic-Con.
Finally.
It's finally back. It is our home turf, if you will. We have been down there many, many a times, and in fact, we're coming on the 1-year anniversary of the ODPH Entertainment Edition, because last time we came back, we recapped Con. This time, we're going to give you the preview going around, so we're going to break down everything you need to check out at New York Comic-Con. The final list of panels and such have come out. We're ready to talk about it. Pad, start us off.
Well, I think the first interesting thing you've got on Thursday, October 4th at 11:30 on the live stage is there's going to be a interview with Watchmen co-creator Dave Gibbons, and he's going to be talking about the TV series coming up on HBO. Now, I bring this up because, to my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, we don't really know much about this TV series.
No, as far as I know, it's a prequel, if I'm not mistaken.
See, I heard it was supposed to be the Watchmen comic adaptation with other stuff thrown in.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be set in modern times, not the 80s or 60s.
See, that's where it's kind of really confusing because they've been so tight-lipped about what's coming on with this series.
And I mean, understandably so, given it's Watchmen.
Mm-hmm. And especially, like we've talked about in previous episodes, Watchmen is held in such high regard that anything less than perfect for the show is going to be considered a failure.
I was like, I think I've said it before, but Watchmen to comic book fans is what Citizen Kane is to cinephiles, where like Citizen Kane is considered one of the greatest movies of all time. Watchmen is considered by many the greatest comic of all time.
Yeah, without question. So for this, there's very, very high buzz about it. It's something that they really need to make it's perfect. And we're waiting to see if it happens, but with Gibbons being there, I mean, we're going to hopefully get a lot of answers to some questions we have.
It could be your first opportunity to find out anything about this TV series.
Right.
Moving on, you've got 2:30 on the main stage the same day. You've got Constantine, City of Demons, the movie.
Braga, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's got a rated R rating, and so that obviously means they're willing to go pretty dark with it. And with Constantine, I feel like you really need to do that.
Yeah, I have to say, you can't deal with Constantine and kind of the mystical, supernatural, darker side mystical, I should say, and it not be an R rating.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the DC animated side, that this is kind of going, I don't want to say into uncharted waters, but usually they've kind of done a hard PG-13. We really haven't seen
They've done Rs before.
No, yeah, that's right. Wasn't Killing Joke an R?
Well, Killing Joke
but also
was.
Justice League Dark, I believe, was
right.
R-rated.
Yes.
I think Justice League Flashpoint Paradox might have been. I mean, they show Wonder Woman decapitate Mera, and then hold the sever head up, so I'm pretty sure that was R.
But
I'm looking that one up.
But especially to go into the realm of Constantine, and you know what usually comes there, to see them really go all out with the R rating for this, I think is going to help the film. And especially going off of the success that they've introduced the character now to Legends of Tomorrow. There's a little more buzz behind Constantine.
And it's the same actor still, Matt Ryan. He loves doing the role.
Oh, okay, I was wondering about that, if he was going to be voicing it.
That's awesome. And he was
awesome.
He was the voice of Constantine in Justice League Dark as well.
So
he's already in their animated cinematic universe as Constantine. So
right.
Flashpoint Paradox was PG-13.
Okay. But like I said, the moral of the point is, especially when you deal with Constantine, who has such a mature reader's audience that follows him, you really want to make sure that it's authentic to the comic. So obviously doing this as the animated movie, they're following right along that line. So that's going to be an exciting panel to go to. We'll be there for that one.
Yep. And, of course, the movie will be distributed starting October 9th on Blu-ray. So look out for that one if you're a DC fan.
Absolutely.
Moving on. I know this one is near and dear to your heart, Ken. 4 o'clock in room 1A06.
Of the Javits Center.
Cowboy Bebop 20th anniversary panel.
Has it been 20 years? It doesn't feel like it, but I tell you what, this is my favorite anime, as you've heard on the anime show we did a few months back. Cowboy Bebop is just timeless, and the premise just is so simplistic yet so complex because it's just the job they've done with the creation of the show. trying to put it into words, I can't really do it justice. But
It's even well known if you just close your eyes and hear the theme song, because if you look up any video of like, top 10 favorite TV show theme songs or animated TV show theme songs, odds are Cowboy Bebop's going to be somewhere in there.
It should be. It's just
Well,
classic.
I mean, Tank is just is a classic. It's like it's a good style of jazz. It's like you enjoy the soundtrack even if you're not a jazz fan. You just sit there and you're like, you enjoy the noir music style it has to it.
Yeah, and just for how well it's done, and just you see the progression of Spike, who is just the standout character of the show.
Right.
And just to see how the ending is, it's one of the most satisfying endings to a series you'll see.
Yep.
And, I mean, I could just go on and on about
Right.
it.
I mean,
But
I'm still going to get a corgi at some point and name it Ein.
You
That's
have to.
happening.
you have to. You have to.
But yeah, this is definitely a panel to attend if you are a Cowboy Bebop fan. Of course, key creators of this series will be there, such as scriptwriter Kiko Nobumoto, Dai Sato, character designer Toshihiro Kawamoto, and mechanical designer Kimitoshi Yamane. And they, of course, will discuss Cowboy Bebop and its international acclaim.
And sorry if we just butchered any of your names.
But overall, though, I mean, Cowboy Bebop is just amazing in its own right, and especially it's a very short series if you really want to get into it.
It's like 24 episodes and there's a movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on, 5 o'clock on the New York Comic Con live stage will be Todd McFarlane talking the new Spawn movie.
This is going to be very interesting. Braga, I'm going to let you jump in on this one first.
I'm really curious as to what he's going to do up there. Todd is kind of he's very creative. He's got a little bit of a wild side to him. But he is going all out with this. Like, he's doing Facebook posts about, how he's going to be directing this thing. He's producing it. He was so excited when they nailed Jamie Foxx as going to be Spawn. I mean, it's definitely interesting to see the creator of a comic series just full on, going full blown into handling this movie production, like directing, producing.
It's always great to see, because you get the most true telling, or adaptation, I guess I should say, from script to screen. There's no middleman. There's no, we need to cut this out for time. No, he's going to make it work. There might be something cut just because, okay, this isn't really necessary, but this is going to be, like, if you want, there's going to be no director's cut. There might be an extended cut or something, but this is going to be the true telling of what he wants to see on the big screen of Spawn.
Right. I mean, when McFarlane came out with Spawn, it was such a time as Image Comics was breaking, and this was the true breakout character from that bunch.
I mean, he's one, as we said a few weeks ago, not on the air, he's one of like the few original guys created that's still around. I think Spawn's on like issue 300 or something.
They're getting close if they're not just there yet. I mean, it's real close.
But yeah, it's like I enjoy Spawn from the standpoint. I read the first volume of the comics. I will admit, I do not really care for the story that much. The story's not the greatest in my opinion, but it looks amazing, so that's kind of the reason you read it. I definitely am still interested to see how the movie's going to turn out, though.
Oh, yeah.
And especially with how this is McFarlane's true vision. That's the thing we really want to see, because I know when the first movie came out in the 90s, it kind of was well received, but it wasn't the blow-away blockbuster I think people were expecting. So this is going to be really interesting to watch, and I know they've really taken their time with it.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of the original movie, and I do not need to see the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's interesting for its time.
Yeah. Moving on, 5:15 in room 1A24 in the Javits Center is a panel about the DC Universe digital service. Now, the description of this one is, quote, get an in-depth look at the brand new and groundbreaking digital subscription service, designed just for fans, DC Universe. Plus, get the latest updates on DC Universe, original live action and animated series like Titans and Young Justice, Outsiders, and a deep dive on the incredible lineup of legendary DC films and series, epic animated movies, comic books, and exclusive merchandise, and much more. So this ought to be interesting, just because I know there are a lot of people, myself included, have a kind of question about, okay, DC Universe, what's it going to be? Obviously, they're going to have Titans and Young Justice on there. They've obviously got a very large backlog or catalog of DC TV shows, comics, and animated shows. But where's it going to go? What's it going to become?
Swamp Thing's getting his own series on there.
Yep. So it's this ought to be interesting to see if you're on the fence or you're kind of gun shy about doing it.
I actually signed up for the DC Universe.
Oh, okay.
So I actually have to say I've been happy with it thus far.
Sure.
I'm really interested to see once it fully gets going, because it's still in its very young stages.
Yeah.
But it's been very great as a DC fan to watch. I mean, I do like their comics reader. I have to say that's been a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
And I'm really excited to see where they're going to go. I know they're doing the Titans panel Wednesday night at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Right.
But this is going to be the true one that they break down everything coming to the DC universe. I know the Swamp Thing series that Braga was talking about. I know there's a Stargirl series coming out too. And it's going to be really interesting to hear about what more stuff they have coming. And personally, I'm just hoping that they get this on Xbox and PlayStation yet.
Yeah, that would be the smart thing.
That's why I haven't subscribed to it. It's like the only thing I could watch now is my phone, and I'm not paying. How much is it a month?
It's only about $8 a month.
I still don't feel like paying $8 a month if I can only watch like the movies on my phone or something.
I'll say the intriguing thing for me, I haven't gotten it yet, just because I want to kind of see some stuff first before I go and spend $8 a month. But I think the interesting part and the selling part for a lot of people is going to be the backlog of their old TV shows, because I know not everything's on there. I think the only stuff that's not on there is stuff that like the rights or who has what is kind of in question. But I know they've got Batman the Animated Series, the entire thing's on there. All of Justice League is on there. Justice League Unlimited's on there. Batman Beyond is on there. Static Shock is on there. So there's a lot of stuff on there if you're a DC fan that you can't really go out and find stuff these days. So that it could be interesting to check out that panel.
And one thing to clarify too, because some news was breaking, DC has a deal worked out with Netflix International to show Titans on.
Right.
It will not be on domestically in the United States, but it's going to be distributed at some point on international Netflix.
Right. So if you're one of our international listeners, you will get Titans on Netflix. However, if you are in the United States, you will not get it on Netflix. You have to go to the DC Universe service. Moving on, of course, this one near and dear to my heart. This one is going to be all sorts of amazing. Batman, the complete animated series deluxe limited edition Blu-ray box set. Basically, it's a panel on the main stage with Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong, Diane Persing, legendary producers Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski discussing everything Batman the Animated Series. One of the most groundbreaking animated series of all time. Mic drop.
It's the GOAT. I don't think you can talk to anybody that will put up a really good argument for something that is better than Batman the Animated Series when you're talking about greatest animated series of all time.
Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things that, like, you look at it, of course, they've got the entire box set for this series coming out on October 30th, which, if memory serves reading, because I've taken a peek at the product several times online, it's completely remastered, it's redone, and if memory serves, the box set is coming with Mask of the Phantasm in it. So one of the best movies of all time. So, of course, this one going on 11 a.m. on October 5th as we're switching to Friday.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Moving on to Friday, 1:30 on the main stage. Rooster Teeth is going to be there, of course. Red versus Blue fame, Achievement Hunter and everything else. They're going to be there giving you a first look, as you hear from the cast and crew, of Ruby and Genlock. Of course, we've talked about the shows before. Genlock getting a multitude of famous actors, from David Tennant to Michael B. Jordan. So, and to my knowledge, they haven't shown anything. You've seen photos and you've seen kind of character designs, but they're very shy about showing things. And this might be your first look at things, so that ought to be interesting to see. Moving on, of course, Marvel, not one to miss out on Comic-Con. 2:00 at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. We'll be there for Runaways Season 2.
Now, this is kind of interesting, and it's kind of bittersweet, too, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will not be doing a panel this year.
No.
And this is kind of surreal for me, who have gone a couple of years, that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has always been the go-to panel for me.
Mm-hmm.
And not to see it this season. I know, obviously, they're not coming back till next summer.
Right.
And then whatever happens with that after, to be determined.
I think at this point, they're going to do this. They're going to do the show, the final season on TV. We don't know what's happening after that. But I think the next year for Comic-Con, they'll do a panel. You want to know a question? Ask us.
Yes.
They won't hold anything back. They won't be, well, we could tell you, but because of reasons, we can't go into it.
It'll be interesting to see if they do a panel next year, and obviously whatever the fate's going to be of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to wait and see.
Yep.
But Runaways is definitely filling that void up, and especially they're now moving to Madison Square Garden for their panel. That's big things. I mean, Season 1 was definitely a very good adaptation of their series, and can't wait to see Season 2.
Mm-hmm. Moving over to 3:15 at the live stage, you're going to have Scott Snyder talking the upcoming crossover event between Justice League and Aquaman. titled Drowned Earth. Now, this ought to be interesting because you're having a crossover with Justice League and Aquaman, and you're titling it Drowned Earth. Ken, you know anything about this?
All I need to know is Scott Snyder is writing it, and it's going to be amazing.
No, not for me.
But going into this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be the end of his Justice League run. If I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that, and somebody please correct me on social media if I'm wrong. But this is going to be kind of the bookend for his Justice League run, and they're going to be tying in a lot to Aquaman, who, obviously, with the movie coming out in December, there's going to be a very big push for him in the comics. And I think this is perfect timing.
I was going to say, if you guys actually want to get on board with Aquaman, I either recommend picking up Jeff Johns' Volume 1 of Aquaman from the New 52, or if you're going with Dan Abnett, who is on Aquaman right now, I'd recommend his Volume 4, which is Underworld. It's a great jumping on point despite being the fourth volume for the series. The first three were kind of slow, but definitely the build-up was worth it at this point, and he writes it so well. Like I said, you can jump in, and they fill you in very fast as to what the situation is.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see where the story is going to go because especially if they're going to be making Aquaman a real big push in the comics, tying in with the movie, like I already said, this is going to be a major event of epic proportions. So I can't wait to see it.
I was going to say, even if you just look at Aquaman himself, and especially they started it in Underworld, he's definitely looking more Jason Momoa-like. He has the beard, he has the long hair, and it's I'm okay with it. It's just, there definitely are. You can tell they're okay, yeah, Aquaman is coming out.
Yes, can't wait to hear about this.
Moving over to 6 o'clock on the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden, you've got the panel for Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now, this is the movie we've talked about before. It is the kind of Akira Toriyama's vision of Broly. Broly, of course, for anyone who knows Dragon Ball lore, I guess you could say, Broly's been a thing for a while. He's been in video games. There were a couple movies, but it was never the creator's vision of him. So this is, to compare it to Star Wars, this is, the true telling of Thrawn and bringing him into the canon. This is bringing Broly into the canon. This is, of course, bringing the director, voice actors from both over in Japan and here in the States. Can't miss stuff. I'm willing to bet you'll see a couple scenes without really knowing anything. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, this is going to be right up your alley.
Moving over to 6 o'clock, also on the main stage, you've got DC All-Stars. This is described as, quote, some of DC's most brilliant and creative minds have been gathered to give comic book fans insight to how they make the DC Universe a nonstop e-ticket thrill ride with every issue. Of course, you drop in on this panel and check out what they've got in store next. So this is the one, you're a DC fan, you got to be there.
You got to imagine they'll be talking Heroes in Crisis, Tom King's new book, which is phenomenal, that just came out. I would imagine you're going to have Scott Snyder up there talking Justice League. You're probably going to have a slew of other DC talent up there.
They're probably going to be hitting you with teasers and spoilers left, right, and center.
I got to imagine. I think the only book that probably won't get mentioned up there is Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, I can imagine. Probably not.
Everything else, though, under the sun is going to be up there, and definitely go check that out, especially if you're a DC fan. You're going to love that panel. And just a couple of other quick bullet points. I mean, there's a Netflix and Chills panel, should I say, going on the main stage, 7:30 on Friday. Voltron is going to be at the Hammerstein Ballroom, 10:30 on Friday morning. Definitely excited to see that. There's a Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles panel, 4:15 at the main stage Friday. There's a lot of stuff going on, so obviously for more information, check out NewYorkComicCon.com. But there's one panel Friday night that really jumped out.
Going on at the Hammerstein Ballroom, 8 o'clock to 10 p.m. it is called TARDIS Time, with Matt Smith, David Tennant, and Alex Kingston live. Now, the interesting thing with this is if you are a Doctor Who fan, of course, this is the 10th Doctor, 11th Doctor, and the Doctor's wife. This is, to my knowledge, the first time that they've been together in a room for Doctor Who since probably anything to do with the 50th anniversary.
I would say you're right on that one.
And if you're in the area and you have the opportunity or can attend, I would recommend it, because this doesn't happen very often, where you get multiple actors and an actress or actresses from Doctor Who in the room together. Now, like I said, this is a separately ticketed event. Tickets range in price from $19 to $249. Check NewYorkComicCon.com for more details. But yeah, if you're a Doctor Who fan, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And there's so much more going on those 2 days, too. We can't even get into it. Otherwise, it'd be about a 4-hour show. But make sure to check out New York Comic Con. Social media, and you can get all the information there. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk a little Saturday, Sunday, New York Comic Con with you. You're listening to the ODPH Entertainment Edition.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is George Gatton, and you are listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour Entertainment Edition.
Coming back for segment number 2 on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition, talking New York Comic Con. We gave you Thursday and Friday. Now let's get into Saturday. We got the Hellboy panel kicking off the new film directed by Neil Marshall. Mike Mignola's project is coming back to the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no bigger fan in the room right now than Bry Guy Signal, so I'm just going to let him go off.
Yes, Hellboy! Hellboy! It's coming to Comic Con, and we're getting a new movie. I'm so excited for this because I'm actually a fan of the original two. I didn't think they were really bad, really that bad. I enjoy them a lot. And this time Hellboy is he's no longer going to be played by the actor from the first two movies.
Ron Perlman. He's not doing him.
Yep. It's going to be David Harbour. Some of you will probably know him from Stranger Things, which is part of the reason I got really psyched when I saw he got signed on for this movie.
Mildly successful Netflix show.
And like I said, I so wish we had the YouTube camera hooked up right now because Bry Guy's enthusiasm is just like...
He's jumping up and down in his seat.
Yeah, seriously, I'm botching my words up right now because I'm trying to focus on what I was going to say. But the movie, we haven't seen any trailers yet. I am banking we're going to see a trailer at the panel.
It has to be.
Yeah. Let's say they did release a poster this past week that was scary as all get out.
Dude, it looked awesome.
How badass did it
That
look?
is the other reason I'm on board with this.
Yeah, if you got a chance to find that on your social media.
Like you see that thing and you're immediately like, all right, drop that AC/DC. We're going to hell.
Yeah, it is just amazing, to say the least. So the cast is going to be there. David Harbour is going to be leading the group. And definitely get there if you can get there Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. What else can we say? Like, Brian, calm down now. That's the only thing we can say right now. Going into the next.
I'm calm.
Next panel we got looking at is the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Inside Look, taking place 11:30 a.m. in the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Of course, this is the highly anticipated animated movie from creative minds Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, of course, directors of 21 and 22 Jump Street and also the Lego movies. You know, so they're taking their spin on Spidey. You know what? As we record, they did put out another trailer today. It looks interesting. I will say that.
It definitely piqued my interest a little more, and I know that the Spider-Man game has been dominating everybody's life for the most part.
Eagle-eyed fans did notice in the trailer today, and you can find the image online. There is the Spider-Man PS4 suit in the background of one of the shots, so it does appear he might be in the movie. You never know.
We gotta wait and see on that, but I mean, overall, the new trailer looked great. And for Marvel, their animation, you don't really know that well.
No,
I mean, you used to know from like the Saturday morning cartoons,
Yep.
like X-Men and Spider-Man there. But this definitely has my attention, and I'm definitely interested to see where they go with this because it's going to be a wide theatrical release. And honestly, with Spider-Man, he's going to be having a big year coming into Far From Home coming out. So this is a nice way to cap off the year when the movie comes out in December. Going into next.
Next panel is an interesting one. It takes place from 12 to 12:15 on the live stage. It is Dan Slott talking his upcoming Fantastic Four comics. Of course, Fantastic Four coming back to the Marvel Comics line.
Yeah, no one cares about Fantastic Four.
I beg to differ, my friend, because Dan Slott's been doing some really interesting takes with the book that we're waiting to see how it all pans out. But as you know his work from Amazing Spider-Man, just give him some time and let him get going. But with the Fantastic Four finally coming back to the MCU, expect to see a big, big, big push with that coming down the road. Next panel.
Next panel is the one I might be most excited for out of all the days we're going to be there. On the main stage, 12:45 to 2 o'clock, Twisted Tunes. Now, before I get into this panel, I highly recommend you YouTube Twisted Tunes. It's with a Z. Just pick anything they've got. They've done Star Wars, Harry Potter. You know, last year at Comic-Con they did Ghostbuster, if I'm not mistaken. The original one.
The good one.
The good ones. This year they're doing a reading of Clue, which ought to be all sorts of insanity. This year their voice, now Twisted Tunes is where they bring in cartoon voice actors, read from the script of a movie, but they read it in their character voices. So the one I can think of to mind is one year when they had Jim Cummings on stage, who of course does most notably Winnie the Pooh and Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. They had Winnie the Pooh reading Darth Vader's lines from Return of the Jedi. It's the funniest thing.
And because of that, that's why I'm joining Pad when he goes to that panel.
Yeah, so this year you've got Steve Blum, who, you know, we'd be here all night if we tried listing everything he's been in. Gray Delisle, Richard Horvitz, Phil Lamar, Mary
Samurai Jack.
Yep, Mary. Also, Jon Stewart from Justice League, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, and Jeanette Varney, the voices featured this year. So it ought to be a riot.
Yeah, it's definitely a panel. If you're a fan of any animated projects, the voices you're going to hear, and especially reading Clue, it's sheer gold.
It's always gold to even just watch the videos on YouTube because it's some of your favorite movies. Like I know they've done at least the first 3 Harry Potter movies, and to you know the movie, you know the lines. To hear Bubbles reading as Darth Vader or anything else, it's just a riot.
I think we mentioned this on the show. There was one where Seth Green did his Chris Griffin voice in Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
And it wasn't so much a comedical one, but they did have Kevin Conroy voice the Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. That was just more awesome.
Yeah, that one was
that one wasn't humorful. That was just pure badass right there.
Mm-hmm. I would say go search it out on your social media. Listen to that, and if you're not excited after hearing that to go to the Twisted Tunes panel, nothing's going to get you there.
Nope.
Which, FYI, where I was jumping in my seat for Hellboy, he was doing that. Pat over here was doing that for Twisted Tunes.
Yeah, so this upcoming panel might be the one I'm doing because Marvel's Daredevil
oh boy
is coming back. Finally, season 3 is announced October 19th. Mm-hmm. The panel is going to be at MSG on Saturday, 1:30 to 2:45. Mm-hmm. And I am banking we're going to get a whole breakdown of everything that's going on. I have been widely speculating this is going to be Born Again. And I am just excited because my unofficial ODPH, I don't know nothing opinion, we're going to find out who Bullseye is.
Okay.
Because I'm banking he's going to be in this season.
Okay.
And I'm just so excited to see it because, what the Dark Knight story is, the Dark Knight Returns rather, is to Batman. Born Again is to Daredevil. This is
definitely
by far the best Daredevil story ever.
Yep.
And to see how they're going to do it with Netflix. And I'm hearing that there's not going to be any crossovers with characters.
Yeah, this came out today as we record. They said season 3 for all of their shows will not feature crossovers, much like you saw at the end of the most recent season of Luke Cage, where Danny Rand showed up.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be self-contained, which it should be because if you've ever read the story, you don't need to mix anybody else.
No, you really don't. I mean, if you do, it would take away from the source material.
So all you need to know, Daredevil season 3, Vincent D'Onofrio is back as the Kingpin, and he's wearing the white suit.
Yeah. The teaser trailers they've released for this have been nothing short of amazing.
And I will say the marketing they've done for this is genius, too, because every time they put out a teaser trailer or a trailer, they put it with a Bible verse on it.
They do.
And then if you actually look up what the Bible verse says, it is something that guarantees ties into how that season's going to be.
Yeah, this is going to be something truly epic to watch.
I mean, and that really ties in with his character, not trying to cut you off. Mm-hmm. It's like if you ever read the comics, and then they showed in the first 2 seasons, he's got a Catholic conscience. It's always been one of Daredevil's things.
Yeah, it's something that just ties into the essence of the character. I'm super excited for the season. I can't wait to get to that panel. Hopefully I get in for that one. Pat, what's next?
This one jumped out at me. On Saturday, 3:30 to 4:30 in room 1A06 in the Javits Center, an hour with Adam Savage. Of course, Adam Savage from Mythbusters fame, worked on a lot of movies. He's heading back to Discovery Channel, and he will also be executive producing and appearing in both Mythbusters Jr. as well as his own solo series, which he's just started to film. So it's an entire hour with Adam Savage, and I'm guarantee you there'll probably be a Q&A session, so that's definitely one to check out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch. I'm definitely excited to hear about that.
Yep. Moving over to Madison Square Garden at the Hulu Theater, 4 to 5 p.m., Star Trek Discovery. We're giving you a first look at Season 2.
This is going to be very interesting, especially with the whole Patrick Stewart buzz that he's returning to Star Trek. Obviously, he's not slated to be a part of this panel, but the Discovery has been a very pleasant surprise.
I'll say at the moment, we're looking at the website. We're, as we record, 4 days out from this panel, and nobody's listed on this panel. Speakers to be determined.
So this is going to be interesting to watch. If you're definitely into Star Trek Discovery, I know a few people are, rave reviews about it and how it's just a nice addition to the Star Trek family.
I have yet to see it from in its entirety. I've seen clips of it, and I like the clips I've seen. The acting looks really good, and the effects look amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, last year, and I kind of regret it, they had a little prop set that they could green screen you onto the command deck of the Enterprise, which I'm kind of hoping maybe did come back because I want to do that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be a cool panel to go check out, especially if you're into Star Trek. I mean, the new show has been great, and I saw the trailer for the next season now. I'm excited to see it.
Okay. Moving over to 4:30 at the main stage is Marvel Comics' next big thing. Now, of course, earlier we mentioned the DC All-Stars panel. This is Marvel's equivalent, where you will have Editor-in-Chief C.B. Cebulski. Joining him will be Jason Aaron, Donnie Cates, Gary Duggan, and Dan Slott talking all the stuff upcoming for Marvel. So if you're a big Marvel guy, this is the panel for you.
I recommend anything Jason Aaron has done for Thor and also for his Star Wars stuff, especially Vader Down.
Yes.
And don't sleep on Donnie Cates. He is one of the biggest names rising at Marvel. And I'll just leave you with 3 words. Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Enough said.
Enough said.
Excelsior.
Yes.
Ah.
Next up.
Next one, this one jumped out to me personally because I'm a fan of both shows. From 4:30 to 5:30 at the Hammerstein Ballroom, you've got Family Guy and American Dad with the entire cast: Scott Grimes, D. Bradley Baker, Rachel McFarland, Wendy Shaw, Mike Henry, Lord knows how many other people. Holy cow, it's going to just be an hour of insanity.
What else can you say about that? You got the whole cast there. Mic drop.
Yep.
Done deal.
Enough said.
Yes.
Peter Griffin, Cabin Clown.
Yep. Of course, probably the biggest panel, or one of the biggest panels at New York Comic Con, also Saturday, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. A lot of eyes are going to be watching this one. Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden, The Walking Dead.
I'm going to get into the Walking Dead preview a little later in the show. But I will say this panel is going to be a lot of emotions going on.
It's going to be harder to get into than normal.
I would say so, because with Andrew Lincoln and Lauren Cohen leaving the show, this is going to be I don't want to say a very sad moment, but I think it's going to be kind of one of those like bittersweet ones, because they've been such great characters on the show, and now they're leaving. Yeah. And one thing in the trailers they've been hyping up is Rick Grimes' last episodes.
Yeah.
That, I mean, obviously it's coming sooner than later. I'm saying by mid-season point.
I'd say so.
And where the direction of the show goes from there is going to be truly telling.
Although Andrew Lincoln is not completely done with the show. It came out this week that next season he will be directing an episode.
See, that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, like, I think he's so tied to that. I mean, it's just like, when you leave your family for a while and you go away, you move to a different city, of course you're going to come back and visit him a little bit.
Of course.
But one thing I did hear, too, in passing, is Norman Reedus has said he has no intention of leaving the show.
Okay.
He's going to be there until the end. Like, I forgot, a couple sources I was reading said that he wants to bookend the show.
That's good to know.
That's big for the Walking Dead fans.
So the internet can, put down its pitchforks and torches. Don't worry. Norman's not going anywhere.
If those people watch Game of Thrones, they have to keep him handy in the event Tyrion dies.
That's true.
Yes.
Also true.
Unless they decide to kill him off the show, which I have not heard. I just want to speculate right now. Daryl I've not heard anything about that.
Don't take the pitchforks our way.
Yes.
It was just a speculation. If the writers decide to end Daryl's story, then he might leave the show early.
Yep.
Who knows? But he has said publicly he wants to stay till the end. So that's good to hear for Walking Dead fans.
Yep.
Paz, what's next for Sunday?
Moving on to Sunday, 12:30 p.m. on the main stage, you've got the Gifted panel. Of course, just came back for season 2. Loved the first episode. Can't wait to see where they go with it. Interesting to see what they do with this panel, and maybe they show the next episode. Who knows?
I went to last year's Gifted panel, and
Okay.
it was a fun time. I got to admit, the cast was there, and I honestly had not really gotten into the Gifted. But after going through the panel, and they did show the latest, some footage from the next episode, it was something that sold me, because the one thing about the Gifted, and I know we talked about this last week, it's not set in the traditional 616 universe.
Right.
It's on its own level. It's not connected to Legion as we know of thus far. It's doing its own thing. They're really doing the show without the X-Men. Which
they reference them, but they don't show them.
Heavily referenced, but they never show them. And they're really sticking away from trying to mention, we know somebody from the Weapon X program in Canada, or we know our friends over at the Institute for Gifted Students there. I'm sorry, I'm butchering that. But either way, they're doing their own story. They're really making their own characters and carving their own niche into the X universe, which I like. And they're taking small elements at a time from the X universe lore and implement them. Like right now we have the Hellfire Club. And down the road we have the Morlocks coming.
It's great to see a show in the X universe that isn't so heavily reliant on your Jean Greys, your Wolverines, your Cyclopses, your Beasts, your Xaviers, your Magneto. It's refreshing to see.
Yeah, it's going to be something. We're going to be talking about the Dark Phoenix trailer a little later in the show as well. Mm-hmm. But going back to Sunday.
Moving to Sunday, 1:45 at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Doctor Who BBC America official panel. Now, the interesting thing with this is 1:45. It's an odd start time, you say. Well, that's because much like they did with the 50th anniversary where it was simulcasted around the world at the exact same time, they're doing the same thing with the season premiere this time, where at 1:45 it'll be broadcast around the globe. So fans who get to attend this panel at 1:45 will see the first episode live together at New York Comic Con.
I think that's something pretty cool. Brega, you big Whovian?
Yeah, a little bit. I will definitely say David Tennant was the last one that I saw all the episodes through. I'm sort of making my way through Matt Smith. From what I seen, Capaldi wasn't bad. I couldn't get into Eccleston at all.
See, David Tennant is my favorite Doctor, and I didn't think Matt Smith could ever live up to David Tennant. David Tennant's still my favorate Doctor. Matt Smith grew on me.
I do like him. I can't, for whatever reason, get hooked into it. Mm-hmm. That being said, I loved what was it, Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary episode.
Yes.
I mean, I loved Smith and Tennant on the screen together. They were great together.
Of course, this will be an interesting panel because
regeneration is always a gift.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The interesting thing with this panel is the Doctor herself, Jodie Whittaker, will be there.
That's going to be something, too. I'm super excited.
And I am excited to see her, too.
I can't wait to see her as the Doctor this season. And it's going to be different. Obviously, Stephen Moffat's not executive producer anymore. So the whole show is going to have a different feel to it. But I'm super excited to see, finally we have a female Doctor. I think that's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of expecting that they were going to go that route when they made the Master Missy. Mm-hmm. I was kind of like, okay, you're leading up to a female Doctor, which I had no problem with. I want to make that clear. That's just when they said, it was a female Doctor, I'm like, oh, okay, this will be interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's casted perfectly. Moving on, we can get into Doctor Who all day here.
We very well could be. The last thing jumping out to me on Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m. at the Hammerstein Ballroom is Cosmos Possible Worlds. Of course, Cosmos, the Emmy Award-winning show, brought back, of course, it was on years ago with Carl Sagan, brought back by Seth MacFarlane, hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I will say this, the entire first season, which it aired a couple years ago on Fox and National Geographic at the same time, if you like science, if you like space, and you want to learn some things, and it's visually, it's impressive. They go different routes with it. It's not just, we're showing you generic pictures of this and that. No, they get very creative with it. I highly recommend the first season. It's on Netflix, but they're going to give you a first look at the season, which is season 2, which is returning March 2019.
There's so much going on. We can't even get into everything that's going on at New York Comic Con. If you have the chance to go, you should go. And one thing that I think we can all kind of say is, what is the one thing you take away from going to cons? And let me start with Pat.
You never know what you're going to see. You never know what you're going to, run into. I know the first year I went, I had no idea. I was very excited to see Rebels Season 2 because they showed the first episode of Rebels Season 2. So that was kind of like I'm excited to go see this. But I never expected to meet the guy who impersonates Peter Griffin online. I never expected to meet some of the people I met and see some of the things. I know it was the same year the World of Warcraft movie came out, and they had a bunch of the armor and stuff that they wore in the movie there. Wasn't the biggest fan of the movie. Was impressive as all get out to see the armor because that was done by the same company that worked on the Lord of the Rings armor movie and those movies. Impressive to see. You never know what you're going to see, and you never know what you're going to find to buy.
Braga?
I was going to say, definitely the props are definitely something because when we went last year, and that was my first year going, I was like a foot away from Ben Affleck's Batman armor that he wore in Justice League. Mm-hmm. Same with like Gal Gadot's outfit, Flash's outfit by Ezra Miller.
Yep.
It's just, you just go there and it's basically like, if you ever seen the new movie that just came out, Ready Player One, and it's the first scene when he walks in and there's all the people, like all the different avatars, like all the Easter eggs. That's basically what it is. You go in there and you're like, holy shit, look at all this shit.
Yeah, and especially like last year, we didn't expect to walk in and see props from The Last Jedi.
No, it's something that when you get the chance to go, and like I said, no matter where you can go for a con, this is always a place where you can go and you talk to fellow fans and you really see, everybody's having a good time. Everybody's cosplaying for the most part, which we have to make a quick note. We had a cancellation for an interview today. Coztober is still going on and we're rescheduling with some local cosplayers for the rest of the month. So stay tuned for that. But everybody's going cosplaying at New York Comic Con. The vibe there for being such a big city, comic book convention.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's getting along at a good pace. There's no, you never really hear about anybody, getting angry about lines. The team at ReedPop does such a good job with just how they have everything structured and the flow of everything. And now it's grown to the point where it's at the Hammerstein Ballroom. It's now at MSG for certain panels. It's really just a place you go and you just have those like once in a lifetime moments where you can get, autographs from your favorite, writers and artists. You can go meet celebrities. And it's just one of those things that you take back and it's like, why I'm a fan, this is why I go. Because you can just truly get that feeling.
It was cool last year because we got to go to the Doomsday panel. And you always hear about Hall H moments at San Diego. Seeing the Batman Superman trailer, seeing the, whatever Marvel trailer. We actually got to experience one of those. And it's fun reading about those. But it's fun to actually get to experience something like that. Like when we went to the Doomsday panel and they were like, oh yeah, by the way, Rorschach's still alive.
Yeah, the Doomsday Clock panel.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize. Yeah, it's one of those times that when you get there, you go with your friends, and you make new friends, and everybody's just having a great time and just celebrating being a fan. You can't beat it, no matter what you try. But that's our preview for New York Comic Con. We're going to be down there, so if you catch us walking around in the ODPH t-shirts, come over and say hi to us. We want to interact with you. We're going to take a quick break. You are listening to the ODPH Entertainment Edition.
Hi, this is Jimmy Gazdick from Crimson Brethren and Floodlands, and you're listening to ODPH.
Come back for the third segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition. And obviously Comic-Con's going on, but there's another big event going on this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Certain movie coming out.
Venom is finally released to the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
The Spider-Man anti-hero is finally getting his own movie. It's been a long time coming. Tom Hardy is playing the title role. All right, we've heard a lot going on social media from early reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to just say, if you're going on social media between now and when you go see the movie, if you go see the movie, just watch what you're reading because some people are spoiling a lot. And some of the comparisons they're making, I don't know. We have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Pads, what's your thought?
I'm going into this with kind of low expectations simply because I know I've said it before. Venom is arguably Spider-Man's biggest villain. I know you can go Green Goblin and you can go a lot of other routes. Venom is arguably one of Spider-Man's biggest villains. And to me, now the thing we can say is Spider-Man, Tom Holland is not in this movie.
Yes.
The producers and directors have said this outright, if for no other reason than there were certain legal circumstances where they could not do it. So you will not see, and not even in any like swinging across the screen. There's been rumors of, you'll see him over there because he's on a field trip. Okay, sorry, where does it make sense for like a 15-year-old to be taking a field trip across the country in California? No. I'm going in with low expectations. That said, I'm kind of reserving judgment until I see it.
Braga, what's your thoughts?
I'll say I don't have high expectations either for the movie, but I'll definitely make it when I see it. I will agree with you, Pitt. It's like I've said this before on the show. Green Goblin is Spider-Man's Joker, and Venom is his Bane.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably the best way I can describe him. So it's like to not have Spider-Man, I am a little iffy about it because from everything I have read, this is just me. This does not affiliate whatsoever with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not even going to hint at it being there in some little corner of it. It's its own thing. Sony's doing its own cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got a little hesitant going in, like when they dropped the second trailer and he's talking about making a guy a turd in the wind. And I was like, oh, God, don't tell me that's going to be your humor. Please don't. Or if it is, don't be a lot of it.
The one thing about the movie going into it, and I'm trying to duck spoilers or anything I can read as much as possible because there's been a lot of, I don't want to say negative feedback, but a lot of people have been venting that they're feeling disappointed about this film.
I'll say because while people can post as we record, while people can post their thoughts and what they thought of the movie online, the review embargo for like actual like IGN reviews, Hollywood Reporter reviews doesn't lift until 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on October the 2nd, which is 10:30 Eastern.
Right. So I'm kind of reserving any judgment on this. But what I'm going in with this movie thinking, I'm going, okay, one, this is not going to be an R-rated film. It does not need to be. And I've stressed this enough. Venom, albeit, is an anti-hero on the same level of Punisher and Ghost Rider, if you want, or Wolverine. Should they have done an R-rated film? Yeah, you could argue that. If they do a hard PG-13 rating, like The Expendables 3, you can get away with it and still maintain the essence of the character. The trick with this movie is going to be, how does Tom Hardy portray Venom without any connection to Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
And then what is the direction they want to go in with this? Do they want to make it, real serious? Or have you known Venom? I mean, he's grown to the point where he has some Deadpool-esque moments with his humor. That's, I believe, the turd in the wind comment that everybody's really kind of judging. Is it really going to be cornball cheesy? Is it going to be super serious? What to take from it? And as bare essence, you're talking about an alien bonding with a human and becoming a anti-hero whose methods of saving the day are very questionable.
Much in the way of the Punisher.
Right, but Punisher's a very extreme case.
Yeah.
This one is going to be tying in a lot to Spider-Man without saying Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
So that being the case, what I'm looking for out of this film is I want it to be entertained. I'm not looking for this to be the next addition to the MCU.
Right.
But I definitely don't want it to be the Fantastic Four movie that just came out a couple years ago that we don't even talk about on the show. I don't want it to be something so low quality that I'm just going, really? Like we had this and we just let it slip through our grasp.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't read any spoilers, but I have read a fair number of what people think, and I will say this: the reviews are mixed. I've read a couple people who say it's okay, could have been better. I've read a couple people who say it's not great, and then I've read some people who absolutely hate it, and some of the comparisons they make the movie to are, well, I'll just say surprising.
Well, that being the case, I think anytime you have a hero, a character such as Venom, and he does have a very loyal fan base.
Oh, yeah.
Come to the big screen. It's kind of got to be either perfect or it's not going to be. I'm not saying the same degree like Watchmen. I know we talked about that earlier. This is going to be one of those cases where, okay, Sony is doing their own version of Venom. How does it stack up to the comic version? You're not doing it with Spider-Man. What do we expect? I'm going with this thinking, okay, if it can be better than the Fantastic Four movie that came out a few years ago, I'm okay with it because I do have low expectations for this.
Yeah.
Just because you're not tying in with Spider-Man, you're doing the Rise of the Symbiote storyline along with Lethal Protector, if I'm not mistaken, that's the source material. It can work. It just depends on where they establish Tom Hardy. And one thing, too, is I expect to see at some point, I'm not saying we're going to see this character, but we're either going to see Cletus Cassidy or Carnage in this movie at some point.
In some fashion.
I would imagine so. Because you can't really do a Venom storyline without Carnage appearing at some point.
So you also can't do Planet of the Symbiotes without him.
You would think. But it also depends on what the studio wants to do with this. I'm guessing we're going to see, a cameo, or maybe it's going to be a bonus scene. That would be my early guess. Because with this being PG-13, you can't do Carnage in this movie.
No. I was going to say, if you're doing Carnage, you have to do an R movie. I'm not trying to be like, I want hard R movies. No, if you're doing Carnage and you want to do him justice, I mean, for God's sakes, his name is Carnage.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that. And my guess, because I know that Woody Harrelson has been cast in the movie, we haven't heard his role.
Yeah.
My guess is that he's going to be Cletus Cassidy, which I'm all for.
Because I did see it, not saying he was Cletus Cassidy. I think it was IGN. They said Woody Harrelson did say in an interview, he didn't give away a lot. He just said, I'm going to have a bigger role in the sequel.
Okay.
So, and
if you do Carnage, then that would open up the door. Okay, that's...
Well, you have to, because honestly, we all read Spider-Man comics. We all do the video game. Can you name Venom's Rogues Gallery, like plural, other than Spider-Man and Carnage?
No.
Symbiotes. And yeah. Obviously, the new comic book that has just come out, though, is reinventing that. So I'm going to put an asterisk by that statement because they've been doing some phenomenal work tying in his history. It's a longer and more threaded history than just Spider-Man found him.
Right.
You were saying like it's making him more of like a mythical creature that sort of jumped around.
Yeah, kind of. It's been very interesting to really see the progression of the character because they're not just saying, Spider-Man found him on a planet. There's more history to him than is meeting the eye, and now they're tying in with a backstory with Wolverine. And they were tying it, I believe, at some point with Asgard. I don't have the details in front of me, and I'm not looking at my phone, so I'm not going to get full details about this.
Right.
But they're doing enough that they're now making it seem like, okay, Venom might have more of a rogues gallery than meets the eye, which would be great because you can't have him fight Carnage all the time. It's like when Batman fights the Joker. You can't have that every issue, every episode.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
No.
You need to give him some variety because especially if he's supposed to be the real lethal protector, okay, you keep fighting a guy that's just a walking lethal weapon, it's going to get old after a while, no matter what. So with this movie,
unless Venom was played by Mel Gibson, then we can get a pass with it.
Yeah, then you can go there with Lethal Weapon, and that works. And that would be kind of interesting. So now I got to think about that. But getting back to this movie, because now you got me actually thinking about this. What I want to see, though, in closing, is I want to see Venom as Tom Hardy being portrayed as Venom. That I want to see the one I read in the comics.
Yeah.
The story doesn't have to be that great coming out the gate. And I'm just going to go in saying because you don't have him in the MCU, there's a lot more elements you got to play around with. But what I want to see is the character done right.
Yeah.
Just the essence of the character. The fight of Jekyll and Hyde wins. And just the symbiote and what it's doing. I want to see that. And then wherever they go from this moving forward, that's going to be the true telling sign. Because I think that if this doesn't have a good box office run after week 1, then you might not see a Venom 2.
Right, and it's going to be very interesting to see the box office because I think it's either the same week or the following week the Lady Gaga movie, A Star Is Born movie comes out, and that is getting rave reviews and talk of possible best picture of the year.
Yeah, it's going to have some competition from there, but if they can, obviously they're going to lose some of their opening weekend money, but if they can at least kind of balance out that it doesn't, debut in the high 70 millions and then drops to 10.
I mean, the thing is like this is also the doorway for Sony's cinematic universe for their comic characters because Jared Leto is supposed to be Morbius.
Right.
And if this does bad, it's like, all right, well, do we want to go with Morbius?
Yeah.
That could hold up a lot of plans. So just overall final take on the movie?
I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it and make my judgment when I see it for myself.
I'm gonna see it, and I want to see how they do it because I know I've said it before, but to me, doing a Venom movie without Spider-Man is like trying to do a Two-Face movie without Batman or a Lex Luthor movie without Superman.
It's going to be really interesting to see. I'm definitely going to go see it at some point, and what I want to see out of this is just a character and what they do without all the parts involved. Because at the essence, you need to portray Venom as Venom. Otherwise, what's the point of doing a sequel? Let us know what you think. Hashtag it up. ODPHEE. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Citoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
Coming back for another segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition. Now, there was some movie news other than Venom going on, too, this week.
Of course, we did have, in between episodes, a trailer for Dark Phoenix drop.
Yes, the latest installment to the X universe before they get absorbed into the MCU.
Potentially the last X-Men movie as we know it.
I was going to say, I don't know. I know there's a lot of talk that the X-Men series will just be rebooted when it joins the MCU, which I'm okay with from the standpoint. It just would be really messy if you try to throw all of these people in there.
I'll say, especially because as detail-oriented as Marvel is, especially with, they're making a heavy case in point of saying, Captain Marvel movies is set in the 90s. They make a very good point of saying, the movies take place when they're released unless it says otherwise. It's going to be real messy if they tried to just, merge the X-Men timeline into their timeline. It just wouldn't work. So, yeah, I'm betting they recast the entire thing.
And I'd be okay with that. Like, that's one of those times, reboot's fine. And that's why I am excited for this movie. I have a few things I want to happen in it, but it's like, if this can be the movie that closes out Fox's run with the X-Men movies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they've come a long way since X3.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we want to talk about movies. I'm hoping Venom's better than. That's one.
Uh-huh.
So going in with this, thoughts on the trailer, I'm intrigued. I wasn't blown away by it. I definitely, it kind of had an X3 vibe to it.
Yeah.
Albeit, though, I wasn't cringing, but it was kind of like...
I got the same feeling. There were definite X-Men 3 vibes off of it in that they're delving into Jean's past. It's going to her parents. She runs away from the school. She joins up with Magneto. There seems to be, you're getting X-Men 3 vibes off of it. That being said, I hope it's better.
I hope it is too, Bright.
And that's one of my things is like I'm kind of looking at is at the end of Days of Future Past, Magneto wanted to go off and do his own business, and then in Apocalypse, he came back because, if you haven't seen the movie, his family's murdered, and then Apocalypse finds him, and then at the end of Apocalypse, he joins the X-Men again, and then kind of goes off to do his own thing again, and it's like, I'm really nervous, okay, how are you writing it in that he wants to be the villain again? It's like, this is the second time he's tried to just do his own thing, and it doesn't seem like he has a family this time. So it's like, don't just shoehorn it oh yeah, I'm totally on board now, Gene. You're super powerful. We can do this.
Yeah, it's the one area with this is just, with the Dark Phoenix saga, we talk about iconic stories. And
This is one of them.
Claremont and Burns' epic. I mean, this had so many things going on with it that it's still, you can see elements of that resonating today in current books.
Which, by the way, we mentioned with the Gifted Hellfire Club, so random side note with Claremont's run, if you want to know a good scene with the Hellfire Club, it features Wolverine busting his way through the entire place to save the X-Men.
Yeah,
look it up.
The iconic scene where he goes, "Now it's my turn." Oh,
good.
That is your classic Wolverine scene. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this just ties in with so many elements. We're talking about the Hellfire Club. We didn't see anything about the Shi'ar universe.
No.
At least nothing I could really tell.
There
from
might be something hidden or obscure in there, but yeah, no, nothing outright.
No, and it just kind of felt, I don't want to say it was rehashing the same plot of X3, but it kind of was. And obviously it was different actors and it looked different, but it kind of had the same feel, which I was a little hesitant about.
Yeah.
And going with it, I know this is going to be the last one before they go to the MCU, arguably. So it's
with the exception of possibly New Mutants. I don't know what the deal with that is, though.
I haven't heard anything. Last I knew, rumor and talk is it's going to potentially get dumped on an online streaming service someplace.
All right.
Because the thing now, here's the thing I should stress: the way the Disney deal is currently structured, because there's a lot of speculation because 36 hours after the trailer dropped, Dark Phoenix got pushed back. It got pushed back from February 14th of this coming year to the 7th of June of this coming year. Now, there was a lot of fan speculation online that, they're pushing it back so they can bring them into the MCU. No. That would imply that Marvel is working on and writing things to bring them into that movie, where legally they cannot do that. If they do it, they would blow the whole deal with Fox into the water and it's over.
Yeah.
They'd start from square one. Good luck. So they legally cannot touch it. So no, they didn't. For whatever reason, they moved the date back because the movie titled Alita Battle Angel, which is written and produced by James Cameron. Yes, that James Cameron needed that date for some reason. So they moved it back. Ergo, they moved Dark Phoenix back and into what was supposed to be Gambit's release date, and they pushed Gambit back until 2020. Now, the thing with the Fox Disney deal is anything that is being filmed has to be released. So that's why you're seeing stuff like Dark Phoenix get done. They're talking about getting Gambit started. That's why they announced Kingsman 3. That's why you're seeing a lot of stuff from Fox get announced.
They're trying to finish off loose ends.
Right, they're finishing off loose ends, and they're keeping people employed and their paycheck coming, which is good on them. But that's why you're seeing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's just, and especially one thing too that we got to note with all this juggling around, they are releasing a PG-13 version of Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I guess it's so it can be shown in other places around the world. I mean, it's fine as is. If you want to show it to your kids and you don't feel they're ready for an R-rated movie, give it a shot. I don't know.
I mean, it's something, I guess, for the Christmas audience if you really want to show it. But I mean, Deadpool is one of those heroes. You can't really do PG-13 with them. No. And it's going to be interesting to see what they take out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to hear about it because I just don't really have any interest in seeing a PG-13 version.
I don't need to go see it.
Yeah. No. But let us know what they take out when the movie comes out because we definitely want to know. Hashtag ODPHEE. Mm-hmm. But getting back to the Dark Phoenix movie, this has a lot of potential to live up to if they're doing some juggling around, as long as for the right reasons and it's not like massive reshoots.
Which I haven't heard anything about that. It would not surprise me given it got pushed back, but from what I understand, the last batch of reshoots that we talked about on a previous episode just finished.
Right. So,
and the only thing, there are stuff I'm curious about. There's one thing that I want to happen, but the one thing that jumped out in the trailer is Beast looks like he is cutting ties with Charles and he's taking Magneto's side, which is interesting. The only thing that I really want to see in this movie is I would like it if this is meant to end the X-Men universe for Fox, I would like it if Quicksilver admitted to Magneto that he's his son and that's how it ends, is the two go off and it's like be father and son.
I feel like given the fact they're doing reshoots.
Sorry if that sounds campy, but I feel like that would be a really good way to like end that.
I feel like given the fact they're doing reshoots and it's basically it's a foregone conclusion that Disney's going to get Fox. It just has to get approved in like every international market they're going to be showing in for it to happen. I feel like given the fact that everyone knows Disney's going to get Fox, that it would make sense for them to write something to that degree in, because I feel like if you don't do that and somebody goes back and watches these movies and okay, you know the history with Quicksilver and Magneto. If somebody in the future goes back and watches these movies and go, hey, wait a minute, why didn't they ever bring up the fact that Quicksilver's Magneto's kid? I feel like you have to do
And
it.
they hint at it like at the end of Apocalypse, like Storm's like,
Oh,
are
yeah.
you going to tell him you're his son? Not, and he's like, not yet.
Yep.
As long as it doesn't end with Mickey Mouse holding the X universe in his hand and then just crushing it, I think we'll be okay.
That'd be funny.
That'd be pretty amazing, though.
Yeah.
But let us know your thoughts on the Dark Phoenix trailer. Did you like it? Did you hate it? We want to know. Hashtag ODPHE. We're going to come back and close the show out. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Mike C. from I Am Horror. You're listening to the ODPH, the most killer podcast on the planet.
Coming back for the final segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition. We got to hit you off with those one-shots before we take off to New York Comic-Con. Pad, what you got?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit of video games. First, I got to mention I did finally finish the Marvel Spider-Man game for PS4. Will say this. Won't go into too many spoilers. One of, if not the best superhero video games of all time. Like, the hype is real. The ending is nothing short of something you would see in a movie. The end. They have said that it is the first of a kind of universe of Marvel video games. Given the ending, I won't go into spoilers in case you haven't finished it or you're playing it and you're not there yet. Given the ending, I am very, 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 very intrigued to see where they go with it. The game is phenomenal. It feels like a Spider-Man game, but it also feels like a modern Spider-Man game with everything, the leveling up and the fighting, and it's just phenomenal. I can't glow about it enough.
The reviews have been coming in left and right for it. Game of the year, arguably, till Red Dead 2 comes out.
Yeah, which I've read stuff about that. That's going to be bonkers. Moving on, though, something interesting dropped like overnight last night that kind of caught me and a lot of the internet by storm. Supposedly, there's a Harry Potter role-playing video game in development. A trailer dropped online. Now, there were a lot of people going, I hope to goodness this is real, because there's an entire description for this that it takes place in the 18th century, so the 1700s, so it's very far before anything we've read or seen from the Harry Potter universe thus far. There's a trailer if you can find it online, although I say if you can find it online, because the one that was on YouTube for the longest time got copyright claimed by Warner Brothers.
Supposedly the trailer dropped before it was supposed to. That is the rumor I read.
Yeah, supposedly. So the trailer, if you're lucky enough to find it, is basically a person holding their camera or their phone up to a TV screen, computer screen or something. Supposedly the trailer was shown to a focus group in North America. And it's a full trailer that a lot of people were skeptical and I hope this is real, but you watch the trailer, it is way too developed and way too polished for something for like, a fan or a student to do. I'm hopeful it's real. Supposedly at first rumor was that it was being made by the folks at Rocksteady, of course, who worked on the Batman Arkham games, and they're a Warner Brothers studio, so that was kind of lending legitimacy to it. Current rumor I'm reading is it's being done by the same studio who worked on Disney Infinity. So until this is deemed real, I don't know who's making it, but I hope to God it's real.
Yeah, it looks impressive.
It looks amazing because it's going to be open world. You're going to get to explore all of Hogwarts, all of the Wizarding World, which has never been done before. So it's the first time you're going to get that, and it's an RPG element where you get to create a witch or wizard, decide if you're going to be good or evil, and determine the fate of the Wizarding World.
It's going to be something to watch when it finally comes out. I'm definitely intrigued by it, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Bry Guy, what you got for this week?
I'm going to have to go with Tom, as we're talking about comics, Tom King's Heroes in Crisis #1 finally dropped. And it's already taken the DC fan base by storm because they killed 2 characters immediately in it. Spoilers, so maybe you might not want to listen to my segment. They killed Wally West and Arsenal off.
Yeah,
amongst
surprising.
And for those of you who aren't aware, the premise of Heroes in Crisis is it's meant to take place in what's called Sanctuary, which is a hospital for superheroes to help them cope with PTSD, which I really love the idea of because it adds more to the fact that DC's really pushing for humanizing our heroes. And Tom King has done a great job with that with just Batman. So if he can really show it on a larger scale, it honestly will make superheroes much more relatable. Like, yeah, they go out there and they do this stuff, but it takes its toll on you. You don't just walk away from it, and now they've killed 2 sidekicks off. They're not even they're not even the head honchos. Like, I don't want to know what this will affect Barry Allen or Oliver. Like, it's probably gonna mess with them.
Yeah, I love that concept too of like you have him dealing with PTSD, because I think of incidents like, you know, there was an issue of Justice League back a couple of years ago where like they were all spread across the globe saving the world simultaneously, like Tokyo, Hong Kong, New York, you know, London, like they were all spread. And you see stuff like that where it's like a cataclysmic, you know, as we say with the Marvel Universe, Omega level event that like people are dying left, right, and center. You can't expect them to deal with stuff like this and just go, all right, well, let's go home and have a slice of apple pie.
I mean, they even did something like that in Young Justice. For those of you who saw it, it was like, I think season 1. They were in a training scenario where the Young Justice crew had to protect the world after they watched in theory all of their mentors die.
Yeah.
And they all died one by one in the episode, and then the next episode they were all like coping with it because they're all just like, I just watched everyone I care about die.
Mm-hmm. It's just the premise of the book is just really interesting. That this is the first time I can remember that superheroes have touched upon this subject.
Yeah.
To this degree.
Yeah.
And Arsenal and Wally West Flash were the 2 of the 6 that were killed off. There was a couple other heroes that really are not big names. The one thing I'm taking away from this is this is going to be kind of like a murder mystery. I feel that obviously they're thinking Harley Quinn is responsible because she is there. Booster Gold is there as well. And the story is going to kind of shift away from the DC Trinity to those 2 and seeing how it plays out. One thing I caught, and we are talking spoilers about this, is Wally West is on the cover. And he was also killed off in the book. Does that mean that he faked his death in this?
I see where you're going.
Something to do with something? I'm guessing. I don't know this for fact. But I'm just thinking maybe that was, you know, a faux pas, so to speak, when they drew the cover.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I saw him on there. I'm going, wait a second. If he was on here, then why is he there? Obviously, covers don't necessarily have to connect.
And it is also, it's like you can go with like how he's there. It's like time travel. You don't know how that'll pan out. I mean, how many times has Reverse Flash died in the CW shows?
Not wrong.
Yeah, anytime you deal with the Speed Force is always messy for, okay, who got killed and who comes back. So I'm going to say my early prediction is Booster Gold did this.
Okay.
That's going to be my unofficial ODPH prediction. Hopefully, maybe I can ask Tom King when I get down to New York Comic Con about it. I don't think he'll tell me. He'll probably
worth a shot, though.
It's worth a shot, though. He was great to meet last year and get some stuff signed. So hopefully, I get a chance to do that again this year too.
Honestly, if you are going down there, he really is a down to earth guy. I mean, Ken and I got a photo with him, and he jokingly yelled at me. He's like, "Nah, we can't be smiling. We got to be serious here. We're Batman fans."
Yeah, he is awesome. I mean, between him and Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's doing autographs, those guys are always top shelf.
Best way to describe Scott Snyder, nice guy. Capullo is probably the one I take away the most of. Like, the best way I could describe is like he's an 80s rock dude.
Yeah, he is so metal. It's not even funny, but it's so awesome.
Yeah.
So
Dark Knight's metal. I see what you did there.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? But they were super nice, super gracious.
Oh yeah.
And it's one thing, like we say, going into cons, when you go meet your writers, artists, this is always one cool thing when you experience them, and they're just as much fans of meeting you as you are them, and that's always the vibe meeting Snyder, Capullo, and even last year with Tom King.
And with me last year, I met Ben Percy, who was writing Green Arrow for Rebirth. He's off the run now. I asked, he was like definitely a minor signer because you didn't even need to get tickets for him. I just walked up and I'm like, "Hey, can I get your photo?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he's got like the deepest.
He has
voice
the deepest
ever.
voice ever.
I can't mimic it. It's just
it's like this.
It was awesome to see. It's like, yeah, these guys are fans who are now like, holy crap, people love what I do. And they like to give that back. They like to be like thankful for it, and that's what's awesome.
It's just another cool aspect of con, and especially if you get down there, try talking to Tom King about Heroes in Crisis, because like I said before, I'll say it again, I think this is going to be the book that we talk about for a while, within the next 12 months. That between this and Doomsday Clock,
Like, this will be up there with Watchmen in terms of, like, this sets the standard for what a good comic is.
it's going to be. It's
Not saying it'll top Watchmen. I'm not saying
No,
that,
no,
but I
but-
feel like it's going to be up in that list if you're saying, if you want a good comic, here's one of them.
It's going to carve its niche in comic history without question.
Much like Identity Crisis.
Yes, which is a very good read as well, too. So my one shot, I have to give a quick shout out to RoberCon. And I have a little funny story to tell, which Brad Guy was down there and John was down there. Shout out to him and Breon. They're coming down to New York Comic Con with us. So we got to the Walking Dead panel at RoberCon, which was great. I mean, it's great to see all the local vendors out here in the 607 and all the fans dressing up. The cosplay was awesome. Our friend Mike Blakesley was taking photos. If you go follow his social media, he has them all over the place, pictures from this weekend. So we got into the Walking Dead panel, and our good friend Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling was on the panel, as we've been talking about. And Moose, obviously, we say, when Moose has a live microphone, it's
must see.
It's must see, must hear, must witness.
And as one of the people who did hear, it was hilarious.
Yes, he absolutely killed it. And I have to give a shout out, especially to Sarah Hauer and Lisa Stuckey, because when I got there, they were saying that they had some panelists cancel. And they actually asked yours truly to join the panel.
I will say this. If there is anybody in the 607 who really knows everything Walking Dead, our host is one of the guys you go to.
Yeah, so I was completely honored to do it. It was a very cool experience. It's the first time I've had to do a comic book panel, or a panel, actually, a comic book convention, rather, should I say. And it was a cool experience. Moose absolutely killed it. Everybody had a great time there. Got asked about doing it again next year, so if you want to see the ODPH at RoberCon next year, hit us up on social media or hit them up on social media. Let them know that you want us there. We might have to make an appearance. I'm just saying. But getting back to The Walking Dead, they're coming back Sunday. It's the Rick Grimes farewell tour. We're doing the Whisperer saga. It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a lot better than All Out War.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell they're going for that vibe with the advertising, and they're trying to bring back some of the fans, because I keep noticing a lot of promos and stuff on Twitter and Facebook, and it's like, oh, it's a new day. It's a new day. And, well, yes, that is true, given the story.
They're time jumping, so
they're time jumping, but I also get the feeling they're trying to tell some fans who might have gotten turned off from the constant nonstop action last year. They're like, hey, this isn't going to be more of the same.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think they're really going to get back to the source material, albeit they have to switch up the storyline from the Whisperers, because if you know this book, Carl had a big part in it.
Yep.
He's obviously gone from the show. So going with this, I have high expectations for the first season, and they really got to knock it out of the park, because All Out War was kind of a letdown, in my opinion, as I said at the panel. It definitely had a lot more moving parts than I thought should have been there.
Yeah.
And I really think it took away from a lot.
It really realistically should have been 2 seasons, not a single season, because there was so much going on, and there was so, like you said, so many moving parts that it was almost too much in too little time.
Yeah, because it should have just been around the core characters, I believe, instead of just, you had, Penny and the garbage people, and then you had the water people, and then by the end of it was like the Rocky IV speech where everything was made peace at the end. And like, honestly, it was like, this should have been so much better. I feel they're going to get it right, though, with the Whisperer saga, and I feel that that's where Rick Grimes gets killed off.
Probably.
And I think that he's going to be killed off, folks. I think so. However, you need to brace for it.
Yeah.
That's my unofficial ODPH prediction. He's going to get killed off by midseason.
He's going to get killed off, and it's going to be real emotional.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know exactly how. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Negan. I think everybody's banking it's going to be him, but I don't think so.
That's too easy.
Yeah, because I was actually having this discussion with Johnny Moose at the panel. He is like the Professor X and Magneto relationship.
Yeah.
To put it in a very weird perspective. Like, they're almost identical in certain aspects, but they have very different philosophies.
But it's like, I think what you're getting at is like Magneto would never kill Charles.
Right. He would never do it. With Negan now, it's going to be weird to see where his mind is as the time jumps forward, because I think that Rick saving his life has now changed his.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a little weird to see.
Yeah.
I am excited to see it, and we're going to definitely be talking about it. The premiere is Sunday night, 9 o'clock on AMC, so definitely check it out. RoberCon, though, 2019, Saturday, September 28th, 29th, 2019. Already make plans for it. We're hopefully going to be back there for it. I know Excite Wrestling, Johnny Moose, we got to see what he's going to be up to for it, because, like I said, you get Moose on a panel, and then hopefully I'm on a panel, make something happen. But this weekend belongs to New York Comic Con, so we are heading down there. That's all we got for now. So for Bry Guy Signal,
What up?
for Padawan J,
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH Entertainment Edition. We'll see you next time.